Hello and welcome to the Be Smart About Art show. My name is Susan J. Mumford and I'm pleased to be your presenter today. It's fascinating, this world of living so much online, and we keep on being presented with different challenges when it comes to technology. So you might have seen that there was actually the sharing of a Facebook screen. That's because something is broken between the Zoom and Facebook integration. And I'm mentioning that is because this is the third day in a row that that's happened. So for any of our viewers who are trying out new things, maybe you're trying like us, you're perhaps streaming from Zoom to Facebook or Zoom to YouTube or doing other things, these platforms are having to up their game, up their security. Zoom has had some major issues with security. I've been using Zoom for years myself, and suddenly their users have just gone through the roof. And so they're adding all of these things, then they're changing their platform based on demand, and sometimes things kind of break or don't work quite right. And I think all of us are realizing that this is a moment in time when we have to be understanding of companies going through these major periods of change and demand. And that's cool. Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't quite work. Now, as for today's topic for the Be Smart About Art show, it is a Wednesday. And what that means is that it's Be Smart About Art question time. And that is an opportunity for BSAA members to ask questions of myself. I'm an art world expert. I'm an entrepreneur for the art market. I've been in the industry for just shy of 20 years, an ex-gallerist, advisor, founder of the Association of Women Art Dealers, founder of Be Smart About Art, founder of Art AML. I'm here supporting the art market, the art world. That's what I do in my career. And so I'm here every Wednesday to answer Be Smart About Art member questions. Do check out the program over at patreon.com/Be Smart About Art, because that's where you can submit questions for me to answer. And so this week I am tackling what is a very common question and an understandable question, which is how on earth do you go about pricing art? Now, a lot of my own perspective comes from my upbringing. And what on earth would I mean by that? I'll tell you this, my parents, when I was growing up, were both in the university world. My father as a professor of economics and my mother as an academic librarian. And I remember being at the dinner table. We would go out, this would be a big deal on Saturday evening each week, and we would go to our local restaurant called Stobie's in Conway, Arkansas. Any of my Arkansan friends watching will absolutely know what I'm talking about. And my husband, Chris, recently pointed out that that is a diner. I never thought of it as a diner. Anyway, we'd be at Stobie's on a Saturday evening. I would ask some question, and my father would pull, actually, he's over here, he would pull out of his pocket his little notebook and pen, and he'd start drawing me diagrams. And there I was, maybe a kid, a teenager, what have you, and I would be going, oh no, I've asked a question that's drawing a diagram answers again. But how useful was it that I now approach the art market from the point of view of an economist? I never studied as one, but what I learned from my dad, amongst so many things about marketplaces, is thinking about them in this kind of this larger ecosystem. And so when it comes to pricing art, one of the really important things to think about is how a work is valued in a marketplace. And what on earth do we even mean by marketplace? I could talk about this topic for many, many hours. And today, what I'm going to try to do for you in the BSA show is to talk a little bit about what is a market price. That will help you. And then also, what are the three really stepping stones to pricing art, the three things you need to put together in order to price art. But what I will not give you is some kind of magic wand answer. It's not a formula. They don't really work when pricing art, because art is priced within the context of a marketplace, okay? And so when we talk about things like market price, what we mean is what's the value of that item within that particular market. And the market could be the USA, it could be the UK, it could be Australia. The marketplace could be much smaller, it could be a local market that you're talking about. And what about consistency between different markets? I think at the moment we're living through a very interesting time in that so much of the art world has now gone online. And so really it's begging people in the art industry to be consistent with their pricing across the board as much as possible, because people are going to see your prices regardless of where they're located. So if you have some differentiation in pricing depending on where people are based, you do, as I talked about in a previous show, you need to have thought that through so that you have answers if somebody says, hey, why is your work priced differently in this location versus that location? And then when we think about why have consistent pricing within a marketplace, well, many reasons. Firstly, to establish what the value exactly is, you need to be consistent. If you are, say, selling it from a studio for 1,000 of whatever the currency is, and then it's selling for 2,000 from a gallery, well, what's the value of that piece anyway? If a collector discovers after having bought a piece from a gallery that the artist is selling it for half the price, sure, you've gone directly to the artist, but you know what? That painting or whatever it is, that has got a value in the marketplace. And it really should be the same, whether it's being sold from the gallery, from the artist, from some big exhibition like the Whitney Biennial or the Royal Academy Summer Exhibition, maybe some charity auction that's taking place on an online marketplace like Saatchi Online or Artfinder or Artsy. You want that price to ideally be consistent across the board, because that is the value. And only once you have a consistent value do you have a place to increase prices from as well. And the thinking behind that is that if it's not clear if it's 1,000 or 2,000, well, how can you even increase the price at all? And then looking farther down the road, when you then talk about getting onto the secondary market, that is the second or subsequent time that a work of art has sold as opposed to the primary market, well, secondary market, again, if it's going to make any sense, you have to have established the initial prices on the primary market, because then you've got somewhere to grow from. And as you increase your prices over time, it means that just little bit by little bit, then your collectors are able to go, ooh, these pieces are growing in value. Equivalent pieces to what I bought, let's say 3 years ago, are now 15% more. Fantastic. Ideas like increasing prices annually 10% a year? No. I've been told this by multiple artists and multiple people out in the art world. There is not a formula that exists like that. Just think if property prices did actually increase by 10% a year, how much they would be worth. I mean, they're already worth too much these days, but there's just not a formula that exists like that. And that number does not make any sense whatsoever. Sometimes you have to hold back on increasing prices. And I would say this is probably a period of time in which people would not likely be increasing their prices either. But when you then have people who love buying your works of art and they see that they've increased by 15% over a 3 year period, they go, wow, that's great. The pieces are increasing in value. I want to go ahead and get a second one before they increase in price again. So you're gently taking those people with you and you have established that market price. Amazing. So then how do you go about the actual pricing in the first place? Well, I have got 3 different stepping stones for pricing art, and they come in 3 words, and then I'll explain them. Those 3 words in order are research, test, establish. So what I mean by that is when you're coming to pricing works of art, this doesn't matter if this is the first time you've done this or if this is your 20th body of work, whether you're an artist or a gallerist, whoever is pricing the work, often artists and gallerists will work together on finding the right prices for new series as well. So you are researching other artists and other works of art that, let's say the works of art are comparable, the experience and the position of the artist at that stage in their career are comparable, selling from kind of like locations. So if there's an artist who is selling from their studio, that's going to be one type of pricing. If there's an artist who is selling from the West End of London or the Lower East Side in New York, that's going to be another kind of set of pricing. So you're comparing like for like as much as possible. Needless to say, works of art are always unique. I know that. And so you're just trying to find something that you think, okay, you can compare. So you're doing this research and you're seeing how is work priced that is kind of like that with the artists at similar levels of career, showing and selling at similar locations. And you come up with a pricing that you think makes sense for you. It's not to say everyone else is going to get it right either. So it's best to do a bit of research. Go look at websites, look at art fair websites. You can go do lots and lots of research on this artist fair websites. You can look at artist studio websites. You can also look at social media profiles for people who list their prices, that kind of thing. And when you think you've come up with the right price, what you do in the second step is you test. And when you are testing, at that stage, you are seeing how are people responding. Are they buying it like hotcakes, in which case maybe it's underpriced? Are they not quite buying? Well, that could be because it's overpriced. It might be because it's getting in front of the wrong people or you're not communicating enough. When you're testing, you're seeing, does this pricing make sense? And that might bring up a whole other load of questions like, well, what if you sell one piece, but you think you need to lower your prices? Not the easiest thing to do, but if you've sold to one person, you could always say, hey, listen, I've decided to change my pricing strategy. And thanks for you buying that piece originally, I'm going to give you a drawing, something like that. So you can usually work that out. In fact, you can always work it out. You just have to work out how. And then the last step after you have done some testing of the pricing is you then establish your prices. And the prices are then consistent, ideally, across the board, wherever you're selling the pieces. Now, it goes without saying that sometimes you have to make exceptions. It's not to say that rules always apply. There might be exceptions to it, such as the London-based artist who a number of years ago said, hey, my gallery in Oxfordshire, they're selling my pieces but at the same prices, so it's consistent, but they're offering a 20% discount on them because people in the local vicinity probably wouldn't pay London prices. How does that sound? And I said, if that's agreeable to you and it works for the gallery so that they're not undercutting your London gallery, that's cool. That's absolutely fine. So you work out things. I know people who've had different prices in different countries. Just so long as you've done the thinking, the why have you priced like you have. And so if somebody comes to you with any questions, you're good. And just keep records of your prices as well. Oh my goodness, that's really important to keep good inventory management. And BSAA, we will put the link into this video as well for the description of it, because we do partner with Artwork Archive, and that's an inventory management platform. You can get a little discount on your first year if you use that link. And that's a really good example of using cloud-based technology to keep track of all of your inventory. You can have stock numbers, you know the titles of all your pieces, you know the years of all the pieces, you know the medium, if an edition applies, the price, all of that stuff. And it's really important that you keep that up to date, because in my experience, it is amazingly quick when you start forgetting, say, when a work of art was made or what the title of it was and all of that good stuff. So it's really important that you always keep track of your inventory. And it's incredibly kind of confidence boosting as well. It's been really interesting to work with artists and galleries alike who've set up their inventory management. And they always come back to me saying things like, wow, they for the first time feel like they're on top of their stock. And one of the things that we really need during this whole pandemic is to work out what can we have control of, and actually having control of setting your prices, having control of keeping track of things and creating your inventory management. That's something that you can do, and that's up to you. So I hope that was some good food for thought as ever. It's been a pleasure to have you online for the Be Smart About Art show. We will be live again tomorrow, and the Thursday topic, it has actually changed very recently. We've decided that it is going to be all about storytelling. We'll sometimes have guests, it will sometimes be myself, and tomorrow I'm going to be telling the story of a little tree stump that I collected when I was 11 years old, and we'll look at what the takeaway is from this tree stump. And yes, I have this tree stump in the UK at my desk over there. It is a cherished item because it really represents who I am. And I wonder what are some things that represent who you are. So if you're able to join us tomorrow, join us online, and you can even add into the comments what's something from childhood that represents who you are today. I would really love to see that. So that will be taking place at 3 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern and at 8 o'clock in the UK. Or probably we've actually changed time recently, so it's going to be 2 o'clock Eastern and 7 o'clock in the UK. and convert that to your own time zone. Do check out the membership program at patreon.com/besmartaboutout and check out our website as well, besmartaboutout.com. As is on the screen behind me, we say participate, connect, grow. So you participate in community just like this one and other communities you've got access to. You connect with other individuals and then you grow creatively, professionally, and personally. And that's really important. As ever, we're here to help you thrive in a changing and ever increasingly changing art world. It's been a pleasure. I've been Susan J. Mumford, and I look forward to seeing you again soon on the Be Smart About Art show, the Member Masterclass, and more. Ciao for now. See you next time.